Part 11. Thales. Thales was born around 624 BCE in the city of Miletus. Back then, this place was one of the most prosperous cities in Greece, with a bustling coastline full of merchant ships. Unfortunately, it later suffered a sound beating from the Persians. The city fell and its people scattered, slowly becoming part of what is now modern-day Turkey. This region was once called Asia Minor, probably to avoid confusion with the actual Asian continent. It faced the Aegean Sea, looking over at mainland Greece from a distance, a true place of natural beauty. When Thales was young, he was no different from a modern-day foreign exchange student, traveling to Babylon and Egypt to learn from their sages. He picked up some mathematics and geometric measurement skills there. While the Egyptians at the time only knew the superficial application of the Pythagorean theorem, they knew it worked for the pyramids but couldn't explain why. This guy Thales was different. He pulled a little trick, planting a staff upright in the ground. When the sun came out, he watched the shadow. At the exact moment the shadow was the same length as the staff, he measured the length of the pyramid shadow. And boom! The height of the pyramid was revealed. This trick, though it only used the simple principle of an isosceles right triangle, showed the beauty of pure deductive reasoning. The conclusion was unassailable. Thales truly broke out and earned his fame by accurately predicting a total solar eclipse in 585 BCE. This skill was likely a result of his Babylonian studies. The Chaldeans there had already figured out the cycle of solar eclipses, but Thales went a step further and also explained the reason for the eclipse. This guy also independently calculated that a year had 365 days. His wisdom in this regard was quite similar to the methods our own ancient ancestors in the Yao and Shun periods used to calculate leap years. In Thales's worldview, he was always pondering one question: what is this world made of? He noticed that all things grow with the help of water and also considered the Greek myths about the sea god, so he made a bold conclusion: water is the origin of all things. His famous saying was, "Water is best." He looked at the land as if it were a leaf floating on the water, so he boldly guessed that the earth was floating on water. This guy was also pretty endearing. He was fascinated by magnets. He felt that since a magnet could attract iron, it must have a soul. From this, he generalized, all things are full of gods. He didn't mean that a tiny spirit lived in a stone, but that all things had a mysterious, life-giving force hidden within them. With this approach of observing, summarizing, and elevating his findings to a theory, Thales gained the title of Father of Science. But a question arises: could philosophy put food on the table in that era? Thales himself seemed to be a poor man. It's said that he never married. In his youth, he said, "It's not time yet," and in his middle age, he said, "That time has passed." Was this his self-deprecating humor, or was it truly because he was too poor to get married? Thales proved with one action that if a philosopher wanted to make money, it was a matter of minutes. According to a later great philosopher Aristotle, Thales, by virtue of his celestial knowledge, predicted a great olive harvest for the coming year. So that winter, he took out all his meager savings and rented most of the olive presses in Miletus for an incredibly low price. While everyone in the city was mocking this crazy philosopher, the great olive harvest did indeed come the next year. The olive presses became a rare commodity, and Thales raised the rent significantly, profiting handsomely from the situation. This one transaction proved once and for all that philosophy was useful and that philosophers weren't necessarily poor. Thales had a student named Anaximander who inherited his master's legacy and continued to research the origin of all things. This student was a travel enthusiast and is said to have been the first to draw a map. He felt his teacher's water origin theory was a bit one-sided and believed that the origin of all things should be a more fundamental substance, which he called a pyrrhon, or in today's words, the most fundamental particle. He also guessed that humans might have evolved from fish. Although this was just a guess, it was a significant leap in thought for that era. Anaximander then passed this difficult problem to his own student, Thales, his grand student, Anaximenes. This student disagreed with both his grandmaster's water theory and his own teacher's apeiron theory. He believed he had found the true answer. The origin of all things was air. Air condensed to form water, water condensed further to become earth, which hardened into stone, and air that rose and became thin and hot turned into fire. This theory sounds a bit mystical, especially the part about stone came from air, and we don't know where he observed that. While his students and grandstudents were coming and going, Thales himself had already passed away in 546 BCE. But together, these three generations of master and students are regarded by later generations as having founded the Milesian school, which is believed to have paved the way for human science. The school's golden age lasted until 494 BCE. In that year, the Persians arrived and ended Miletus's prosperity with fire and a massacre.